Hi, I'm Cheryl Leach. In this problem, we're asked to find two angles that are coterminal to the given angle. Now, one thing I want to point out is there are actually many answers to this problem. We're going to be looking specifically for one that's positive and one that's negative. And we'll look at the case where we've got some other options as well. But first of all, let's take a look at what it means to be coterminal. In other words, I'm looking for an angle that shares its terminal side with the given angle. So, as an example, what if I start at the initial side and I rotate the whole way around once and then come back to that terminal side? That would be an example of a coterminal angle. Well, what's the measure of this angle? Let's call this alpha 1. Well, we know that one complete rotation around is 360 degrees. So if I go the whole way around 360 degrees and then add 45 more degrees, I will have the measure of this coterminal angle. So I have 45 degrees plus 360 degrees. So the measure of that coterminal angle is 405 degrees. Now, I told you that there are other possibilities. What happens if you go twice around and then back to the 45-degree line? Well, let's call that alpha 2. So we could start with a 45-degree angle and add 360 twice. If we do that, we're going to end up with 765 degrees as the measure of our angle. And as you can see, you could keep doing this over and over again. You could rotate the whole way around 17 times and then go back to 45 degrees. Okay? So many different answers for the positive version. Well, the problem asked for two answers, one positive and one negative. None of these answers are going to give me negative angles. So how do I get a negative angle? Well, again, it has to share the terminal side. So starting on my initial side, if I rotate in a clockwise direction and end at my terminal side, I'll have another example of a coterminal angle. Well, how did I get to that? What's the measure of that angle? Well, remember, one complete revolution is 360 degrees. But if I rotate clockwise, I'll be measuring minus 360 degrees. So if I go the whole way around one time, back to that initial side, I've got minus 360 degrees. But then I want to add 45 to get back to that terminal side. So one option is to take minus 360 degrees and add my 45 degrees. Okay? If I do that, I end up with negative 315 degrees, which is the measure of that pink angle. All right. Another way I could look at this is to say, well, why don't I add the 45 degrees and then from that terminal side back up a whole rotation? Well, what would that look like? If I do it in that way, I'm really going to have 45 minus 360, which is really just a rewrite of this expression. So you could think of it as 45 degrees minus 360 degrees. And you get the same result, minus 315 degrees. Okay. Well, again, lots of different answers. That's just two ways of getting that first answer. What else could we do? Well, you could start at your 45 degrees and back up twice. Rotate in a clockwise direction 2 times around. So that's going to look like 45 degrees minus 360 degrees minus another 360 degrees. And if you do that, you end up with minus 675 degrees. And again, you could keep going. You could get to your terminal side and go backwards 38 times and get another coterminal angle. So these are just 4 examples, but you can get as many as you like. Some of them are positive and some of them are negative. It just depends on how you rotate. I hope this was helpful. Thanks.